And welcome into Irie in the Oxford Square. This is Hotty, Toddy, Hotline. My name's Connor Hennessey. That's Nat Martin and John Davis in the middle joining us. You can follow him on Twitter at Oxford Citizen JD. A longtime Ole Miss beat writer. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good to see y'all.
We're talking Ole Miss Rebel baseball again this weekend.
That's the number one thing going on right now.
Super Bulldog weekend turned into Super Rebel weekend over the weekend, did it not?
It absolutely did.
Took the series over at the Dude, as they call it, in Starkville.
The Duty Noble.
The Rebels. 20 hits on Sunday. I mean, the bats were flying. We weren't sure where the bats were going to, before the season, we were kind of unsure bat-wise with the Rebels. But, it seemed as though we got a ton of hits over the weekend.
Well, there's no doubt. I said off the air that the weekend really got going against Memphis, in my opinion. I think when you go to Memphis, you lost 3 straight. Really got going offensively. Sykes Orvis had a big game. Preston Overby. The entire lineup seemed to produce in that Memphis game. Broke that streak. Broke that losing streak. They had lost Memphis earlier in the year and lost 2 or 3 overall. I think that was the way you had to start this week. I think, you go up to Memphis, you take care of business, you come back the very next night, you beat Murray State, you score some more runs, you have a really big inning in in the 4th or 5th, I forget which one it was, but you score your runs there and you carry it over. You're 2-0 going into state and you feel good. You win the opener and then everything after that is great. And I think it's tough that they lost the Saturday game. It would have been great to sweep, but I think for them to have lost the Saturday game the way that they did and they come back Sunday, I thought that was a tremendous effort. I really think that they have grown as a team and they've matured, and I think the Sunday win shows that to me.
And we'll be covering Ole Miss Rebel baseball and spring football and a whole lot more coming up on this week's edition of Hotty Toddy Hotline.
The next time those hunger pains hit you, head to the famous Bees Barbecue, as mentioned in The Blind Side, the movie. In Oxford for 15 years and voted #1 ribs in Oxford. We'll cater all occasions, no matter how small or large the crowd is. We also serve breakfast from 6 a.m. to 9:30. Open 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Bees Barbecue. And don't forget to call about those tailgating trays, 662-236-7090. The Bees Barbecue, the best ribs in Oxford.
Family owned and operated since 1959, is the gathering place in Oxford for family and friends. Come in, grab a seat with a familiar face for a down-home breakfast and a fresh cup of coffee. You might even hear a lie or two. Breakfast not your thing? Then try our signature plate lunches. For service with a smile, come join us for any meal at the Beacon Restaurant on North Lamar in Oxford. And nah, we ain't got no sweet tea.
We got to be pretty good friends that summer. We, hung out pretty much every day.
We worked together all summer and got to be really good friends. And through that process of us getting to be good friends, I think I just started to have a little crush on him. And
funny story, I guess her car broke down at the beginning of the summer, and so, we lived pretty close to each other, so, she had to have a ride. So that's kind of how we got to know each other, is just, through riding to work and from work together.
And he kind of approached me one night and said, look, this is the way I feel about you. And so that's kind of how the whole process began.
The way we went about it was, I prayed about it for a little bit, just because I thought it was important to have her dad, as a part of our relationship. And so I went and talked to her dad about some things.
And then we prayed about it again for about another week, and then he went and talked to my dad again.
We sat down and had a little bit of a 2-week kind of sit down pray about it, think about it, and kind of did that for about 2 weeks.
Ben would always take me on theme dates. Like, they were never just a boring date. And our first date,
we went to a restaurant in Jackson called Fertizzi's.
he's just Italian, and he got it to go, and he took me
To a park that was nearby, and I had a little picnic set up out there kind of at night, and we just hung out there. The park looked out over the reservoir, and so we just hung out there. And
it was just really sweet. I thought it set a really good precedence for the rest of our relationship. It's not just a mundane, normal, boring relationship. So that was our first date.
Welcome back into Irie in the Oxford Square. This is Hotty, Toddy, Hotline. I'm Connor Hennessey, John Davis, and Nat Martin up here on stage with me. We're talking Ole Miss Rebel baseball. We mentioned in the opener it was Super Rebel weekend, a ton of hits, a ton of bats. But pitching was outstanding as well. The Sunday sizzle, as they like to call it. Sam Smith ended up having a heck of a Sunday, but overall, what was your take from the weekend, John? I mean, it was a much-needed weekend for SEC West standings.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think you beat your rival. That's number one. You win. Anytime you win 2 games, that's what you're ideally going for. It's over your rival. That's huge. And then on top of that, it's the way that they won. Again, I look at it Friday. Ellis has pitched well all year. They pitch well. They get the timely hits. They score their runs. You get off to a good start. Saturday, you play pretty well. Christian Trent gave him a good outing. It was unfortunate the way it ended, obviously, with the bullpen not being able to lock down a 5-2 lead, once you go into extra innings. But you bounce back. You get a great start, again, from Sam Smith. He's very consistent. He's always going to give you 6 innings. And like you said, he's aided by a lot of offense. So I think at the end of the day, it's a huge, huge weekend. You win a weekend in general in the SEC, and then you do it on the road against your biggest rival. I don't think you can get any more. And you use it going into this weekend series, or I should say this week's series, since it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday against LSU. A lot of momentum on their part.
When you look at it and say that the Rebels are chasing Alabama for the SEC West right now after the sweep in Tuscaloosa, I think they're still sitting at a game back in the West.
Yeah.
But back to the bats, I mean, there's 7-8 guys over 300.
Right 309, yeah.
Yeah, the team average is sitting at 309, but you have Anderson, Allen, Bell, Bosfield, Orvis, and Lee all batting over 300. Talk about Braxton Lee turning around his bat. He fell into a slump a bit.
Braxton Lee is definitely a huge key to their offense in general, and his emergence, the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's really been coming on. I think when they changed the lineup, and I forget the exact series that they did that, but I mean, I think that really helped. I think that was the key. Austin Anderson, we know what we get. I always thought Will Allen going into this year was going to hit better than he did last year because he's a regular player again. He hit really well 2 years ago. He hit over 300 when he was the regular catcher, and I thought that was going to be key for him. It sure has been. And Sykes Orvis is giving them the power that they needed from somebody. You still have to have home runs in this. The bat has changed, but you still going to have to hit somebody, put the ball out of the yard, and as a whole, the team is way up compared to what they were last year. They already have more home runs they did all of last year, and Sykes Orvis has been able to help add that dimension.
Yeah, there's been so much help. This first 5 or 6 guys have just been so solid all year, and they're really they're getting better each week. Each and every week you go out there and you see them just getting better. They're really rounding into a really nice team at the right time.
I think so, and I think you're at the halfway point of the SEC season. Again, you've got a win over State now. Alabama is a legitimate team. I mean, it's unfortunate you get swept by them, but I think at the same time Alabama has really improved.
Sure.
And I heard there's a guy from Oxford, went to Oxford High School, Charlie Sullivan, that pitched for Alabama the last 3 years, and he said Alabama's really coming on. The long and short of it is losing on the road. You don't like to get swept, but I think Alabama's a legit team, and I think Ole Miss is also a pretty good team, and they got another test this week, and it's never easy in the conference when you play LSU, even at home.
Well, yeah, but LSU is kind of like Ole Miss has struggled on the road a little bit.
Yeah.
You've almost got to look at Friday as a loss with Aaron Nola. I mean, Aaron Nola is a SEC pitcher of the week last week after his outing against Mississippi State, and I'm not saying count it as a loss now, but Aaron Nola is a
he
heck
beats
of
a lot
an
of
arm,
people.
and I think you got to look at it and say, if Ole Miss can hold LSU to 2 runs and then go there offensively, I think you'd be in a good position to win. But we're going to struggle with Nola.
I don't think there's any doubt that Thursday game is setting up to be great TV. That's the kind of matchup with the way Ellis has pitched this week and against Nola. I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for great matchups when you come out here, and Ole Miss and LSU is setting up to be a great matchup.
Yeah, you're talking about 2 possible first-rounder pitchers.
Absolutely.
Starting pitchers.
Ellis has always had the talent. Now he's actually delivering it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. It really is. It might be one of those
good series.
1-0, 2-1 kind of games.
Absolutely.
Well, I think you gotta look at it as the entire SEC is about ready for the Nola family to get out of the SEC, right?
No, they're very, very talented guys. I mean, I think, again, LSU has got all the talent in the world. I think Ole Miss has got a lot of talent. It's just going to come down to who plays better. It really is.
Who makes the plays at the right time of the game.
Who makes the fewest mistakes.
And you mentioned a moment ago playing well at the right time. It is Nat kind of hinted at it. That's exactly what Mississippi State did last year to make it on their postseason run.
Well, I think there's in baseball especially, it's a lot about the role you get on, especially in the tail end of the season. You look at your schedule: LSU home, then going to Kentucky. Kentucky's a tough place to play because of their
Batcats.
They set up there real well for home. The way that their lineup sets up, so it's going to be really key for, I think, Ole Miss to get 2 wins against LSU. Not only just from a hosting standpoint, but with Kentucky looming. You might have a chance. You go into that going, hey, Ole Miss has had a ton of success at Kentucky, and a lot of people haven't. So you get a couple wins here. You play State again before you go to Kentucky. The RPI, we hadn't touched on that yet, but I mean that's another thing that's in Ole Miss's favor. So you get some key wins over State and LSU, 2 other teams that have been in the hosting discussion or hosted the last few years. Obviously, those are the kind of series you need to have on your side when it comes time for 4 or 5 weeks to be decided and you get a host bid or not.
Yeah, just depending on what we do against LSU, I think we're in line for the possibility of being a national seed.
Absolutely.
Which it's been years since we've been a national seed.
Yeah,
so.
05 team was a national seed, and that's been the only one, and that was a great team.
Sure.
I was heavily involved in that coverage of that team, and I thought they would go in the College World Series that year. Of course, they hosted Texas and Supers and got out to a 1-0 lead. And I almost think I jinxed it because I had plane tickets to Omaha ready to go. But, national seed would be fantastic. I think just hosting and getting postseason here at Swayze Field would be outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be covering some more Ole Miss baseball, looking ahead at the upcoming series and the ones beyond that, and a little spring football coming up on the show. Stay with us here at Irie on the Oxford Square.
Furniture World, home of the better buy. Get more selection with even more savings. If you're needing furniture for your home, apartment, or dorm room, we have the quality that you want at the prices that you can afford. We also have interest-free financing with approved credit, plus free delivery is available within our area. So come by and see why we're Oxford's #1 furniture store.
So I switched my car insurance to State Farm. I saved $480. You know what that is?
Yeah, don't say it.
You know what it is, right?
Yeah, don't.
It's a lot of dough.
Switch and you could save $480 with State Farm.
It's a lot of dough.
See if Marty Stark in Oxford can save you a lot of dough.
Get to a better state. State Farm.
This is a photo of a toasted, tasty Nuke's sandwich and another of Nuke's crispy California-style pizzas and supremely satisfying salads and oh, so decadent desserts. Of course, they're just photos, but proof enough that a picture can tempt 1,000 taste buds. Come to Nuke's and enjoy our signature dishes made with the finest, freshest ingredients in person. After all, taste buds can only take so much tempting.
Hi, this is David Guyton, president of Oxford University Bank.
where we are committed to meeting the financial needs of our clients. We have great products and services delivered by smart, friendly staff. For your personal or business needs, we offer 2 convenient locations in Oxford on University Avenue and Jackson Avenue. And in Pontotoc, visit Bank of Pontotoc, a branch of Oxford University Bank. Also, look for our new main office coming soon on University Avenue. Oxford University Bank, a tradition of hometown banking. Member FDIC.
The letter X. It's one tough letter, and the only one that stands for something. It's the mark of the unknown factor, the spot of the buried treasure, the model of rugged beauty. But what really sets it apart is its power to multiply everything.
Oxford, Batesville, and Senatobia Rehabilitation have a professional treatment team including board-certified physical therapists, occupational therapists, athletic trainers, and personal trainers who use advanced technology and equipment to help you achieve optimal results. We provide physical therapy to patients of all ages, ranging from therapy for joint and sport injuries to stroke recovery or work-related injuries. Oxford, Batesville, and Senatobia Rehabilitation. Healing in motion.
Welcome back into Irie in the Oxford Square. This is Hotty Toddy Hotline. This segment on Hotty Toddy Hotline is brought to you by Kubota Tractor. The Get Something Started Kubota sales event is going on now with $0 down and 0% financing for 5 years or $2,500 instant rebate. Restrictions apply. Find your local Kubota dealer at Kubota.com and ask for complete details. Well, we're covering the Bat Rebels. They're coming off a big series win in Starkville. Kind of soured the punch down at Super Bulldog weekend, and they welcome in a big, I would almost say, powerhouse in LSU. They struggled non-conference, but they knocked the socks off of Mississippi State like Ole Miss did. The LSU is doing well, and it's going to be a tough weekend.
Well, it's LSU. I mean, they're the premier team in college baseball over the last 25 years. There's no doubt about that, and they've won a lot of championships when Coach Burtman was there, and they've won a championship with Coach Maneri. And they've been very talented under him. He's got a lot of big time guys that can hit the ball, guys that can pitch. So it should be a great series. I think it's one of the series for sure. Every year, you circle LSU if they're at home. You circle Mississippi State if they're at home. This is one of the top series, home or away. I know there'll be a ton of Ole Miss fans out there. The weather's starting to warm up. I think that's another key. I like the fact too that it's not on Easter Sunday. I mean, you've almost guaranteed yourself some great crowds in the sense that it's a day earlier, and that way people can come for at least a couple of the series or a couple of the games, and then still get back for Easter if they live out of town. So I don't think it could be set up any better, and I think Ole Miss goes into it with a great situation on their hands.
Well, and we talked about Ole Miss's bats. LSU's not batting near as well. The average for them is sitting at 269. So
their pitching is
their strongest moment, especially with Nola.
Their fielding percentage, 9.7. Yeah, their fielding percentage is one of the best. I knew that they were really good in defense.
They don't commit a whole ton of errors, and they have powerhouses on the mound. I mean, like we mentioned, Austin Nola's a sure first rounder. Not Austin Nola, Aaron Nola. Austin Nola's the older brother.
No, it gets confusing. We
played against him being in North Louisiana, being from North Louisiana. We played him against them in high school. So they're Catholic Baton Rouge, and they always eliminated my high school out of the playoffs.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you get kind of lost in about them, and they're both were so great. Just great players.
Well, even when they both played together at Catholic in Baton Rouge, was ridiculous.
2 or 3 years difference?
It's 2, I believe.
2, okay.
And Austin's moved on, but you look at LSU, Andrew Stevenson, Alex Bregman, another big guy for them. It's not the easiest park in the world to hit balls out of, Swayze Field, but they're doing it. People have been doing it this season. Christian Trent has struggled a little bit. We didn't really know about him. Chris Ellis is pretty assured game.
I think Trent the last couple of weeks has really come on. I think he's starting to realize how to pitch in the SEC.
He's had some real gutsy performances.
Yeah, he's a gutty guy.
He is letting so many players get on base and put himself into major jams, and he just pitches himself right out of it.
I think he's learning how to pitch in this conference. It's not not the easiest conference. Remember, he's coming in from another school, not part of the team last year. I mean, he's got all the talent, but it takes some time.
Right.
I've seen it in the past. You take some guys some time to really know how to pitch and have the confidence to be able to throw certain pitches.
Yeah.
You know, and do it over and over again. I think Trent's getting that. I think he's starting to take that next level, that next step, if you will.
Well, and two of our starters, Ellis and Trent, are undefeated with their wins-losses on the year. They've had a few no decisions, but
a couple no decisions. Yeah.
They've had a few no decisions in there. Chris Ellis 5-0 and Kristen Trent 4-0. Now Ellis with a 1.81 right now ERA.
And for several weeks, for the first 23 innings of the season, or 24 or something like that, he had no ERA.
Right.
He was
something ridiculous.
I mean, I'm telling you, the guy has just been fantastic for him. Absolutely fantastic.
You mentioned it in the previous segment. It's going to be a heck of a Thursday night matchup at Swayze Field. ESPNU will have the coverage, I believe, 6:30.
Is that what it is, ESPNU?
ESPNU will have the coverage, and it's a big night for Ole Miss baseball on the national stage.
Absolutely.
You mentioned RPI. This is a series that if Ole Miss can take 2 out of 3, they're in that hosting discussion without question.
Oh, I mean, they're in the hosting discussion now. You know, you win 2 out of 3. You're starting to talk national seed like you talked about. I mean, I just think you go so much further down the road. You set yourself up to, if you only win one game at Kentucky, it's not as bad.
Right.
I mean, because again, I'm not saying that they're not going to win a game or going to get swept by Kentucky. I'm just saying it's a tough place to play. Historically, Ole Miss has struggled there because of the way it sets up there. But
and they have a good team this year.
They have a good team, absolutely.
So
they've been really good.
They'll get some leeway if they only take one up there.
Absolutely, especially if you've won 2 against
if
LSU.
if you can take 2 from LSU.
Absolutely.
Which is a tall. I mean, we're basically giving the Thursday night game, which is usually with NOLA starting. So you're talking about. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, but I think, again, if you win 2, that's just how significant the wins would be.
Yeah, and that's really going to validate this team. If they can take 2 from this weekend, they're going to really be on the national scene. And
back-to-back weekend, State and LSU. You win 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3.
You win 4 games in those 2 weeks. You're doing. Yeah.
These are 2 teams. Last year with State going to the College World Series, and LSU just who they are. That's a huge statement. Huge statement.
When we mentioned the pitching. Well, relief pitching for Ole Miss, we have a ridiculously lengthy bullpen.
They do. Greenwood, I think, long term needs to come back if he can. Yeah. And I don't know. I haven't really. I haven't got an update on where he stands. I know I was a little worried when I knew that he wasn't going to be available for State because I think he is so clutch for them. But having said that, you're right. They've got as many guys that have seemed to throw well when called upon as anybody. You know, I think Massey long-term will come out of the bullpen and pitch well once he gets done with his midweek start. He did obviously very well on Sunday after some rest.
Yeah.
I like Tarkington.
Yeah.
You know, I think Laxer's had his moments. I mean, I think Short's done fine. I mean, I think they've got 3 or 4 other guys too. But I think Aaron Greenwood.
He's kind of a staple in
battle tested.
Yeah, no he can go long innings too.
And he makes the difference for that bullpen. They're a solid bullpen and have a chance to be even better. But I think he helps solidify them in that situation.
Well, he has 13 appearances on the year.
Oh, no doubt.
And Laxer at 14, Short at 14. Shane Bickle at 11. So you saw it the South Carolina series we had to go real deep in that bullpen during the extra innings on that the Saturday game, I think. The first Saturday game.
Both were Saturday, yeah.
Well, the first Saturday game, the home run game. And then but this series against LSU has potential to be a big bullpen weekend because both teams are really good, and both teams may kind of get into a stalemate there at times in the series. I mean, so we may be needing to rely on a lot of these bullpen guys. Am I right?
Well, I would think so. I think that when you get away from the first night, you would think both starters, if they're on, they're going to go at least into the 8th. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it becomes that Friday and Saturday game since they don't play the Sunday game. As good as Sam Smith is, as reliable as is, at about the 6th inning, he's got
to get him.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, and it's not. I don't think it's a detriment to him. I just think it is what it is. About the 6th inning, 6.1, whatever, you know you've got to have somebody ready. That's going to be, I think, the biggest key down the stretch in that Saturday game, especially if it's 1-1. You know, if it's 1-1 and, Ole Miss needs to hold on there, that bullpen's probably going to play as big a role right there at that particular juncture.
Yeah, I just don't see. I don't think they had the batting to run our pitchers real early. I think with Trent and Ellis, I think they'll go 7 to 8 innings, and they've been doing it all year.
And I think Thursday will be, like we said, the big pitching duel, and then Friday and Saturday will be the the game, we'll be able to kind of cut it loose on bats in a way, if we can.
That'd be great.
If you can.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, they don't make errors. They get their outs. They don't give you extra at-bats.
And we've had help with some errors. We've had some help with some errors at big moments this season so far. It started with the Central Arkansas, all the walk-off wins with ULM and all those games. We had a few errors to help us out in those wins. Maybe we can get a few more to come across while we're playing LSU.
Maybe.
I think another thing we didn't talk about, but with Christian Trent, he went to LSU originally,
right,
and then transferred to junior college.
Right.
I'm going to be interested to see how some guys get fired up and play their best game when they're going against somebody like that. Some guys don't do as well. They try too hard.
Paul Maneri's a heck of a coach, but I've also heard his player relations aren't the best in the world, so maybe that may be motivation for Christian Trent.
Maybe so.
Yeah, and I don't know the circumstances of why he left, but
I don't know either.
We'll see how it affects him. It's not going to be just a normal game.
Now, John, this is a kind of a baseball weird question, but do you think the short week for these pitchers? I mean, it's for Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Out of the
Baseball's,
routine.
But out of the routine question. Baseball's kind of a quirky sport.
It is quirky, and I think there's something to be said about it. I think that's something to be said if you lose a game. I think that becomes a bigger issue for
all the boards will be saying it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a question. If you lose a game, you start to draw. We're out of our rhythm. I think at the end of the day, though, guys that have pitched this long so far into the year, and guys that are up for this, it's kind of like the emotion will override that. I mean, I know what you're saying, and pitchers especially are real quirky, but I do think that this situation isn't that far off. It's not like it's 3 days ahead.
And their pitchers are going through the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like a competitive advantage.
Well, I meant both.
Right. If it throws them off, it throws them off. Who knows with pitchers?
At least it'll throw both of us off, right?
I don't think 6 days or 5 days rest is really going to be that tough.
Yeah, it's not like the end of the world.
These kids are young and in shape. It might be a problem for somebody like me, but I think.
Well, the Rebels and Tigers special Thursday, Friday, Saturday series at Swayze Field, 6:30 on Thursday and Friday, and 1 o'clock on Saturday. You can catch that Thursday game on ESPNU and the Saturday game on Fox Sports, which Fox Sports cut us off in Starkville.
We'll see if we can actually hold on to the whole game.
We can hold on to the whole game. We'll be talking spring football with John, myself, and Matt coming up on Hotty Toddy Hotline.
The next time those hunger pains hit you, head to the famous Bees Barbecue, as mentioned in The Blind Side, the movie. In Oxford for 15 years and voted #1 ribs in Oxford. We'll cater all occasions, no matter how small or large the crowd is. We also serve breakfast from 6 a.m. to 9:30. Open 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Bees Barbecue. And don't forget to call about those tailgating trays, 662-236-7090. Bees Barbecue, the best ribs in Oxford.
Family owned and operated since 1959, is the gathering place in Oxford for family and friends. Come in, grab a seat with a familiar face for a down-home breakfast and a fresh cup of coffee. You might even hear a lie or two. Breakfast not your thing? Then try our signature plate lunches. For service with a smile, come join us for any meal at the Beacon Restaurant on North Lamar in Oxford. And nah, we ain't got no sweet tea.
We got to be pretty good friends that summer. We, hung out pretty much every day.
We worked together all summer and got to be really good friends. And through that process of us getting to be good friends, I think I just started to have a little crush on him. And
funny story, I guess our car broke down at the beginning of the summer, and so we live pretty close to each other, so she had to have a ride. So that's kind of how we got to know each other. Is just through riding to work and from work together.
And he kind of approached me one night and said, "Look, this is the way I feel about you," and so that's kind of how the whole process began.
The way we went about it was I prayed about it for a little bit, just because I thought it was important to have her dad, as a part of our relationship. And so I went and talked to her dad about some things.
And then we prayed about it again for about another week. And then he went and talked to my dad again.
We sat down and had a little bit of a 2-week kind of sit down, pray about it, think about it, and kind of did that for about 2 weeks.
Ben would always take me on theme dates. Like, they were never just a boring date.
On our first date, we went to a restaurant in Jackson called Fratese's.
He's Italian, and he got it to go, and he took me
to a park that was nearby, and I had a little picnic set up out there kind of at night, and we just hung out there. The park looked out over the reservoir, and so we just hung out there. And
it was just really sweet. I thought it set a really good precedence for the rest of our relationship. It's not just a mundane, normal, boring relationship. So that was our first date.
For over 25 years, property owners and lawn care professionals have been turning to one mower.
Dave and I have been using these mowers on our properties for years.
You got that right, Harold. Built to last, a Skag is the only mower I'll ever own.
Skag zero-turn mowers cuts our mowing time in half.
Plus, it gets us out of the yard and into the woods for that precious hunting time. With a Skag mower, you can count on high quality, productivity, and value for a lifetime.
Skag, proudly made in the USA by people who hunt and fish.
Irie on the Oxford Square, home of Hotty, Toddy Hotline. Each Monday night, if you want to come hang out with us around 6 o'clock, we're going to be talking Ole Miss Rebels, everything, football, baseball, basketball, whatever time of the year, we'll be covering it. You can get some great seafood, oysters on Monday nights, all kinds of good stuff here at Irie on the Oxford Square. We have John Davis with us, and Nat Martin, my co-host, will be talking spring football, John. We have an exciting spring that brings a lot more excitement. The bowl game itself, the Egg Bowl was kind of a downer. Yeah. And then the bowl game in Nashville over Georgia Tech, we thought it may be a downer there for part of the game, but then the win, no matter what, brings a lot more hope for this football team. And we have a lot of guys that
a lot of momentum going into
a lot of momentum. The Big Mo is a big thing in football, and you look at it and say we have a lot of guys we're excited about. Evan Ingram's obviously a huge playmaker on offense. Sir Darius Bryant. One guy that I want to talk kind of extensively about is Derek Jones. Derek Jones came in around the LSU game last season when we were hurt bad that LSU game. We mentioned it on paper. That game should have been a 40-0 LSU win.
That was definitely, you're right. You go into that game, especially on defense, you're like, God, can they even stay close? And they played outstanding.
And I think they were led in a lot of that game by Derek Jones. He had a lot of big hits and a lot of energy plays that bring the.
Derek Jones is going to be a player in time. I don't know so much next year. I mean, I think he'll be that much better than he was this year. But I think as a junior and senior especially, I think that guy is going to be big time. If he blows up, if he continues to develop like he did after this freshman year, of course, this is his first spring as a corner, and so the summer will be that much better for him. Yeah. He's got all the size. He's got all the athleticism. I mean, this is a guy that could be, playing in the NFL at corner in a few years, especially if I think he continues to do I think he's going to.
Does he not, when you see him on the field, does he not remind you of Ken Lucas? Just seeing him out there,
great comparison
from a physical standpoint, and he's starting to play like it.
Well, Ken Lucas was here. I'm 38 years old, and Ken Lucas is a couple years younger than me. And I covered Ken, and he was a great athlete.
He was a year ahead of me,
and he is a fantastic player. And long and rangy guy, strong. Could make
look
a ground
like a quarterback. Didn't look like he should be there. He looked more like a receiver.
Yeah. Well, Derek was recruited for receiver, started out receiver, but he has that athletic ability, and he's a great basketball player. I saw him play in high school at UPOR, and he's just that natural athlete. You can put a ball in his hands, or you do something athletically on the field or on the track or wherever it is, baseball even. I mean, he just looks the part. He always just looks really natural at what he does.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a big one here.
I think he's going to be really good. I really think he's long-term. And, again, I don't know if it's so much next year, but I think just in general, I think his future is very bright.
When you mentioned this will be his first, full kind of off-season, spring, summer, and fall. How important is that for these guys? We saw Bo Wallace. Bo Wallace after the shoulder surgery, who Bo and Denzel were just in here enjoying a nice night at Irie on the square here, but Bo, his arm strength kind of slowed down a lot last year as the season went on.
Yeah, he didn't get the chance to lift weights because of the surgery.
Or to just have a full recovery because of the surgery. How important is that for players like Bo and other players?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, Bo Wallace looked stronger this spring because he'd already been able to lift weights as opposed to last spring when he wasn't. I mean, he is going to be better. And, of course, they're taking him. I don't know when it's going to be, but after the spring, Coach Warner told us that they were going to send him out to California to see a specialist, guy named Tom House, that's dealt with injuries with other quarterbacks, been very critical to Drew Brees' recovery when he had the surgery. So if he
worked with a lot
goes
of baseball players too.
Yeah, he did. He's a former Major League Baseball pitcher himself. He deals with mechanics. He deals with the way you throw it, things that involve those type of motions. And long and short of it is, I think if he can help Bo, and Bo's going to have all this extra time to lift weights. That was one thing I talked to him about a year ago in May. He just knew he didn't feel as strong. I think it's a completely different situation. I think Bo Wallace will start the year strong like he did last year, but I think that the extra strength and just this guy House may keep him to where he's got that strength all the way through the year. That's the key. It's all the way through the year.
Well, to carry him into those Missouri games and those Mississippi State games where he struggled.
November in the bowl games, that's exactly where, that's the key. That's where Bo Wallace is hopefully his strength is there for those games. That wasn't there because he had good strength early on, but he just kept losing it. And in his first year, after the Tulane game, he was never healthy. I mean, Bo Wallace has accomplished a lot under a lot of adverse situations.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty good quarterback considering that the guy's played injured and he really hasn't been 100% except for maybe 4 or 5 games total.
And he had the interception issues 2 years ago,
and he cleaned that up.
And he cleaned it up
tremendously.
Big time.
I think this offense takes another step if that's even possible. I mean, they've had the most plays in the SEC the last few years. They've had a lot of success scoring points and getting yards. I really think we hadn't even seen the best yet, and that's because Bo Wallace is back, and he's been here for his 3rd year now. And then some of these other guys like Laquan Treadwell, my God. I mean, I think he's going to get doubled, and I think he's still going to catch passes.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I just think this offense in general is going to be that much better.
Well, Laquan's moving to the outside, and Quincy Adebojo, who everybody's super excited about, is going to move inside.
I think he's got to step up for this offense to be part of what I just said.
Who, Quincy?
Quincy, I think, is a real key. I think Markel Pack on the opposite side, when he comes in as a true freshman, he doesn't have to be great, but I think he's going to have to be pretty decent. I think he's going to have to be enough of a guy that helps complement some of these other guys.
Right, they're going to have to respect him and get some safety help over the top with him. That was our problem last year. We didn't have a deep ball all year.
Right.
And
Bo couldn't throw it.
Right. So they can defend you completely different when they know that you're going to be throwing 15 yards.
And I think part of that is going to depend on how Markel develops. Week 1 he's going to be a freshman, but by week 5 is he a freshman or is he looking more like a sophomore? That I think is going to be key. I think Quincy is going to be key. I think Ingram takes another step and he's going to be huge. I think the running game in general. I think Mathers and Walton showed me enough in the spring to where I think that they can be pretty good. So everybody's going to have to complement each other, but I think they've got enough pieces to do it.
Well, you have Wilkins is coming on now. I was pretty impressed by him.
That redshirt year really helped him, absolutely.
Yeah. When you have Mark Dotson at the running back position,
he's another good one,
who can just be kind of a package player where you can see him in certain scenarios of the game. I mean, he had a huge run in the spring game, but it's the spring game. A lot of fans look too much into spring and summer.
Well, I think Mathers is definitely taking another step. I don't think there's any question he starts.
He's the 3 to 4 down back.
And I think Walton will be there at times. And then who's that third back? Is it Brasley? Is it Dodson? Is it Wilkins? Well, and I think it's going to be one of those 3 that becomes the third guy. You don't usually use your 4th and 5th back. No. So, you're going to use 3 backs. You do rotate them. It's all that part of it. But who's going to be that third back? Because I don't think there's any doubt. Mathers is a clear-cut one, and Walton is the kind of guy that the APB. He gets all those kind of Jeff Scott type touches.
Well, as I say, do you see it? This may be a super early comparison, but kind of bigger versus smaller? Do you see this kind of a Brandon Bolden, Jeff Scott scenario where Mathers is the bigger player that will be there every down, and then Jalen's going to be that guy that's going to be the scat back of the formation?
He's not Bolden big, though.
Yeah, I'm talking about. He's not Bolden big.
You're talking about the actual
the sheer size. There's a size difference.
You're talking about the combination,
right?
Yeah, I think that's the
1-2 punch.
Yeah, the 1-2 punch. I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that Mathers is number one. How they use Walton and how they use some of the other backs remains to be seen.
Because Jalen Walton's not going to run anybody over, but
But you're going to hit him in the flat. You're going to throw the ball to him.
He's going to be your dump.
You're going to get him out of space. You're going to get him on the fly sweep.
Screens.
Those kind of certain situations.
Right. And zone reads as well, where you can have him read it outside. We're going to be covering that on the other side of this break. It's time for a break, unfortunately. This is Hotty Hotline at Irie on the Oxford Square.
There are a lot of things that are attractive about Ashley. But I really love Ashley's heart, and I really love her compassion. Her heart, especially, is very compassionate, and so I really like that a lot about Ashley. And she, she's intelligent, and so it's always good to have intelligent conversation, and so that's also very attractive. I like that a lot about Ashley.
His heart for the Lord, like how much he strives to honor the Lord and pursues Him above anything else in his life. And I think that first of all is the thing that attracted to me before anything else. And I went home from Mission Metro and said, "Mama, you have got to hear this guy pray." I know there's no doubt in my mind where Ben's going to take us in our marriage, and and his character and integrity, that also comes from that. That all stems from his walk with the Lord. So that's fun.
I look forward to, and this may sound strange, but I look forward to not having to go home at night, because when it's 11 o'clock and I have to drive home to Clinton after we've just finished watching a movie and eating dinner at her house or something, it's just not fun to leave. It's never fun to leave and to not be able to hang out some more. And so I think that really will be the best part about marriage, is just not having to go home because she's already there.
I'm just excited about spending time with him, about being able to wake up in the morning and go to sleep together and not have to go home. He's lived in Clinton this whole time, which is great, but it's a 45-minute drive. I'm just excited about being together and serving the Lord together and just living life together. Just even the normal days, every random Tuesday.
Intense. Community.
Challenging. Life-changing. Satisfying.
Sweat.
A lifestyle change.
This is CrossFit.
Looking for home, health, or vehicle insurance? Let Farm Bureau handle them all. Lafayette County Farm Bureau Insurance will be glad to help with any insurance need you might have. With real claim service, stop in and see Wayne Perkins or call today, 234-6232. That's 662-234-6232.
Welcome back into Irie on the Oxford Square. This is Hotty Hotline on the Colonel Red Radio Network. I'm Connor Hennessey. That's John Davis That is Nat Martin. Almost forgot your name there, Nat. You're so far away from me.
I appreciate it.
We were just touching on spring.
Feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
My memory's not good today.
That's okay.
We were just talking about spring football and how excited everybody is about this season. And we were covering the offense. You're talking about Markel Pack, Laquan Treadwell, and Quincy Adeboyo going in the middle. Say Adeboyo 10 times fast. Evan Ingram, where's he fit in that offense?
He is there.
I mean, he is the go-to in the offense.
Security blanket.
I mean,
I'll quote Dan Werner. When he's in the game, I call plays for him. If he's not in the game, I make sure they put him in the game so I can call plays for him.
That's awesome.
Okay, it's as simple as that.
Well,
when he got injured last year,
the offense fell off kind of.
They absolutely fell off. There was no doubt. I mean, they were as bad as it would have been to lose Laquan, Dante. Those guys were huge. Evan Ingram, again, turns out to be
secret weapon
and huge for what they really want to do. Dan Werner can do a lot of different offenses. He's already shown that. But again, years ago he was in a pro style set. Tight end is huge in the pro game. He's got a ton of plays for a tight end. This is a guy that had Shockey, Kellen Winslow. I mean, Evan Ingram can give him those. He can get those plays again. Evan Ingram is the first great tight end that Ole Miss has had, in my opinion, since Rufus French. Okay,
yeah,
so I mean,
no question.
it is. There's no doubt.
I
He
don't
is
remember a
huge for
tight
them.
end between Rufus French and Evan Ingram.
That we basically have it.
You mean you don't remember the hair of Ferbia Allen? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, he was.
He was a glorified tackle.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. He was a blocker. He was a blocking tight end without
Absolutely.
question.
But my point is, Evan Ingram is huge for their play calling. So Warner knows when he's got him he can do so much more. And that frees up guys like Laquan Treadwell on the outside. I do think they need a guy in the slot, and that looks like it's going to be Quincy.
Quincy, absolutely, yeah.
Quincy doing well. 25 catches, that will help tremendously.
Well, and it makes the offense
He
such
can't
a...
be a bust, though. I mean, that bottom line is he can't come out and just be basically a freshman part two.
I'm curious to see if Pack's going to get in that slot much. If Sanders and Treadwell are both healthy.
I think Pack has got to be the outside guy. I think that's what he's been recruited for. And I think
Sanders will be on the inside across from Adeboyo?
No, Sanders will be on the outside.
Yeah, Sanders is going to be more of that outside thing. Again, I think Sanders' versatility or his experience, better probably put, allows him to maybe they can tailor things around him. I think Collins Moore has shown if he has a really good spring, he can be also factored in somewhere.
Well, he got most improved on the offense for the spring.
He did get most improved. It looks like he's an outside guy. He has played some slot. It remains to be seen where he fits in there, but it's good to know that he's improved where his status is.
And
that's good because he's really what now?
Cody Core as well. So
Cody Core's, yeah. Like I said, they got a lot of weapons. They just got to figure out who can play where best.
Right.
Well, I do think Quincy, going into the fall, is that top slot guy. And I think if he's designated top slot guy going into the summer, I think he's got to continue to come on.
Well, I think if you look at wide receiver packages, not just across the SEC, but across the nation, this has got to be going into the season one of the most underrated wide receiver packages as a whole because no one really knows who they are as of now. With Adeboyo, Pack as a freshman, even Laquan Treadwell, who had a freshman year that was great, broke a ton of records, but he had Dante Moncrief's shadow to deal with. So you got to look at it and say, this is one of the most dynamic wide receiving cores in recent history for Ole Miss.
I go back to Laquan, the way he looks. I mean, he's 225 pounds, and he can't be guarded. I mean, he is, and they've tried. I mean, I saw him. I think everybody that came to practices or came to the spring game saw that he can beat double coverage. He can definitely beat one-on-one coverage. And I think Laquan Treadwell. I'm a recruit Nick, if you will. I mean, I'm a recruiting junkie, and I thought that was huge for him to get there. I didn't think he'd necessarily catch 72 passes, but I can tell you this: the numbers aren't going to do him justice with his big plays this year. I think he is really going to stand out on one-on-ones, touchdowns overall. I think his big plays as a whole are going to increase, and I think he is on his fast track to the NFL.
Well, if the scrimmages are any indication, he's going to be basically used as anytime we're in trouble, just throw it in the air somewhere around him and let him figure it out.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
it's working. It works every time.
He is a physical dude.
You kind of make
He's got it all.
look bad, but he has a chance to be possibly no question the best receiver that Ole Miss has ever had, but he could go down as one of the best players Ole Miss has ever had.
He could.
After an extended pro career, and Hall of Fame numbers there.
I think Laquan Treadwell is definitely worthy of his ranking coming out as a wide receiver. I'm not saying he was the greatest wide receiver yet. I think that's way too much.
It's yet to be seen.
But in his first year with 72 catches and what he was able to do for this team, I don't think there's any doubt. He never flinched. He took everything, all the hype and stride, and went on. And I thought he was very impressive on the field. And I think he's been, we have only had one time to really talk to him since he's been here. But I think again he impresses me there. I like his future. I think his upside is just tremendous.
Well, with wide receivers, you need someone to throw it his way, and we talked about Bo Wallace having extended rehabilitation in the spring and getting that arm strength back to where it should be. But he has to have a backup. Ryan Buchanan, Devontae Kincaid, both vying for that second-string position.
Tougher.
And that's a tougher thing to look at because you have Ryan Buchanan, who's more of a better pocket passer, and then can throw it from the pocket. Then you have Kincaid, who, if he gets flush, he can make plays with his feet big time.
I think that's a TBD. That's a to be decided in the summer. I think
it's right before the season starts.
I do too, and I think Buchanan, based on the way it's gone, I think he understands the offense a little better, and I think he throws the ball a little better. I don't think there's any doubt that Kincaid's a better athlete than Buchanan, or can at least out in the field run away from people.
He can chunk it, but he may not be able to hit
he can chunk. I mean, they both have a pretty good arm, but I think Kincaid in the open field is better. The long and short of it to me is I think it's understanding of the offense. If I've got to use that number 2 quarterback, and that's not ideally what they want to, they don't want Kincaid or Buchanan out there until it's like mop-up duty. But if they had to, if the gun was to Q Freeze's head right now, unless something changes in the summer, I think they go with Buchanan because of his understanding of the offense.
And I think the general consensus from all the fans would have been Kincaid coming into the offseason, just because he's so dynamic and brings
a good
that.
Athlete. He really is. And I don't get me wrong, I think he will be used, but I think if you have to actually run the offense with the number 2 guy, I think it's Buchanan.
And on top of that, Freeze loves Kincaid.
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely in love with him and just hopes that he ends up being a stud. But you're right. If he can't learn the playbook well enough, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's about management. As important as his offense is to everything, management still comes down to not making mistakes and understanding.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have wrapping up the show on the next segment after this break. Stay with us. We're at Irie in the Oxford Square. This is Hotty Toddy Hotline.
Welcome to Furniture World, home of the better buy. Get more selection with even more savings. If you're needing furniture for your home, apartment, or dorm room, we have the quality that you want at the prices that you can afford. We also have interest-free financing with approved credit, plus free delivery is available within our area. So come by and see why we're Oxford's #1 furniture store.
So I switched my car insurance to State Farm. I saved $480. You know what that is?
Yeah, don't say it.
So you know what it is, right?
Yeah, don't.
It's a lot of dough.
Switch and you could save $480 with State Farm.
It's a lot of dough.
See if Marty Stark in Oxford could save you a lot of dough.
Get to a better state. State Farm.
This is a photo of a toasted, tasty Nuke's sandwich and another of Nuke's crispy California-style pizzas and supremely satisfying salads and oh, so decadent desserts. Of course, they're just photos, but proof enough that a picture can tempt 1,000 taste buds. Come to Nuke's and enjoy our signature dishes made with the finest, freshest ingredients in person. After all, taste buds can only take so much tempting.
Hi, this is David Guyton, President of Oxford University Bank, where we are committed to meeting the financial needs of our clients. We have great products and services delivered by smart, friendly staff. For your personal or business needs, we offer 2 convenient locations in Oxford on University Avenue and Jackson Avenue. And in Pontotoc, visit Bank of Pontotoc, a branch of Oxford University Bank. Also, look for our new main office coming soon on University Avenue. Oxford University Bank, a tradition of hometown banking. Member FDIC.
The letter X. It's one tough letter, and the only one that stands for something. It's the mark of the unknown factor, the spot of the buried treasure, the model of rugged beauty. But what really sets it apart is its power to multiply everything.
Oxford, Batesville, and Senatobia Rehabilitation have a professional treatment team including board-certified physical therapists, occupational therapists, athletic trainers, and personal trainers who use advanced technology and equipment to help you achieve optimal results. We provide physical therapy to patients of all ages, ranging from therapy for joint and sport injuries to stroke recovery or work-related injuries. Oxford, Batesville, and Senatobia Rehabilitation. Healing in motion.
It's now time for the final segment of Hotty Toddy Hotline from Irie in the Oxford Square this week. We've been covering Ole Miss baseball's big weekend in Starkville and the upcoming weekend against LSU this Easter weekend coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. A reminder, they are OleMissBSB.com for more information on them. But we covered spring football and the excitement and the momentum that is Ole Miss football. We've had some changes with Ole Miss basketball. Have some folks that are leaving the program. And John, Derek Millinghouse is no longer with the program. He's going to seek. He sought a release and got it. He was granted a release from the program. And DeMarco Cox is a guy that's also leaving the program. So that makes three. That are three faces. Marshall Henderson, obviously out of eligibility. Yeah. Cox and Millinghouse. So, what's your take?
We've been talking about this for weeks. We knew that there were going to be some changes made, especially when you've got three players coming in and only one going out. Somebody's got to go free up some space.
Well, we knew.
And the guys it was,
no surprise.
No, none at all. We've been talking about that.
We knew DeMarco Cox was unhappy with his playing situation.
He wasn't getting playing time.
And I think he was upset with Dwight Colby going in over him at times, but a lot of times he didn't produce, and so best of luck to him. He did a lot of good minutes for Ole Miss over the years, and we wish him the best of luck.
Well, and Derek wrote his own book when he got suspended late in the year.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest.
And there's more to it than him just leaving the program, obviously.
He's done some things that he shouldn't have been doing. It's quite obvious. Andy Kennedy's not going to suspend you just because you it's not like he was just going to class and doing everything right. If you don't get suspended for doing those things, you did things that he didn't think you needed to be doing. And bottom line is when you do those kind of things, you get suspended at the most critical part of the year.
Well, your team needs you the most.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking for your own fate.
That was also the exact time when the team went to tank.
Absolutely.
When the whole season went south was right.
Well, and you look at it the past few years, I guess we've had three or four guys the past few years leave the program after suspensions. Dundrekus Nelson, which he was kicked off the team because he was a knucklehead. And then you have Jelon Kendrick, too, that left the program after leaving the pad after a fight with his girlfriend in the beginning of warm-ups.
That was a mess the whole way through. That was an experience.
That was a train wreck.
It never had a chance to work.
No, never did.
But what's going to be interesting is who's next, because we just got a new recruit today, or new commitment from a shooting guard.
Tell us all about it.
Yeah, Roderick Lawrence. I know nothing about him. I just heard about this today. I don't even know I have it.
Junior college guy, and I don't know much about him either. But this time of year, you're searching to replace your holes. The most immediate people that are there are guys that have been in junior college. You want to get some experience. A lot of cases, and they've had a connection with this junior college. This is where Marshall Henderson's from. Recruiting a lot of times is about relationships and who you know, and he's going to serve a need hopefully for him.
Well, I'm sure he's just a 3-point specialist.
Yeah.
If he's coming in, 6'4" shooting guard. That's the hole we just had opened up with Marshall even.
I mean, I obviously you're looking for certain situations to fill your roles or fill your needs right now, and they need more guard type players than they do forwards.
Yeah, they need scoring. You could tell when Marshall wasn't in the game, they were desperate to get some scoring.
Well, Jarvis Summers really stepped up, but guess what? He's going to need a compliment next year because he's going to be doubled.
He's going to score 75 points next year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Although I was impressed by Colby and.
You like their development late in the year?
Him and Saiz, their offensive development. Now, granted, Saiz was playing great defense at the start of the year, the whole season, but then his offensive development did come along throughout the year. So if they continue to progress those two big men, maybe we can have some inside game again.
Saiz and Perez both had some huge moments in the year. I think it was Perez had the come-out game against South Carolina. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. We hope that with an off season, he can kind of figure out the consistency factor of his
I don't
game.
know if you remember the before the conference games, he was doing terrible. We were talking to him. He was getting 3 or 4 minutes a game there coming into conference play because he was so bad. And then all of a sudden he ends up being our third best scorer by the end of the year. So he's got to find some consistency.
Well, we have been told it's time to go, so it's time for the show to come to an end. We'll be covering Ole Miss basketball as all that stuff develops coming up in the coming weeks. Reminder, LSU Ole Miss this weekend at Swayze Field. Thanks to all of those at Irie and the Oxford Square for playing host to us and taking care of us each week. For executive producer John Rawl, cameraman MacArthur Turner Jr., editor Tyrone King, that's John Davis, that's Nat Martin. My name's Connor Hennessey. You've been listening to Hotty Toddy Hotline on the Colonel Reb Radio Network, an exclusive production of CRM Sports. We'll see you next time.
This is David Guyton, president of Oxford University Bank, where we are committed to meeting the financial needs of our clients. We have great products and services delivered by smart, friendly staff. For your personal or business needs, we offer 2 convenient locations in Oxford on University Avenue and Jackson Avenue. And in Pontotoc, visit Bank of Pontotoc, a branch of Oxford University Bank. Also, look for our new main office coming soon on University Avenue. Oxford University Bank, a tradition of hometown banking. Member FDIC.